Much like the Maverick, the Gentleman has these three sections: tone, anatomy, and space. So we're going to look at how these sections help shape your sound and how to use them practically. So as we've seen, the tone section has all of your equalizer, your tonal depth, transients, low keys, which really just adjusts the volume of the low keys. And our transients is another sound shaping capability, and then we have the option to add a compressor. We'll get into these in a little more detail as we go on. Our anatomy section has our overtones, stereo image, release samples, which are already turned on, as you can see by this light right here. All right. And then we have our mechanical noises, which add another layer of realism to an already very real, in my opinion, piano. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to play with is, in the space section is our reverb and the size of the rooms. We can have different rooms, so on and so forth. First thing we're going to play with is the controls that are immediately visible when you first open up the Gentleman. So this changes the color or timbre from soft to hard. So we've just changed it to hard, as you can see there. And let's play that. Right, now we're going to move it to soft. And again, those are using extreme examples to make the point. You could go somewhere in between, so maybe you don't want it all the way soft. You can easily make it be partway soft, like this. And then we can compress the dynamic range. To the left compresses, to the right expands, adjusts the volume while still using all the velocity samples. So expands, hammering pretty hard there. Now we'll put it hard left, which compresses it. So I can play very lightly and very loudly. And with it being soft. Now if I bring that to hard and compressed, then it's very, very much a sharper sound. All right, so I'm going to leave it on the soft for now. And okay, the dynamic, so I have it a bit compressed. No, I'm going to have it all the way compressed this time, just for fun. Okay, then we can add some space to it. So right now it's in a jazz hall. It's actually a pretty pleasant sounding hall. Let us see about the size here, just for fun. Adjust the size back down to minimum, just for effect. So that's like it's in the hall, but you're sitting right in front of it. Let's put it back to the middle. Over here, we have our distance, which adjusts the amount of pre-delay before the reverb starts. So let's give it a lot. And the reverb is a little more pronounced when it starts later like that. So we're actually going to put it back down here. I'm going to change this to a stadium. Let's put it to a plate, the old plate reverbs. piano resonance? I think that's short for resonance. Sounds very much like a piano resonance. So we've got 4 of these, so I'm going to go to number 2. And number 3. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to bring it back to small studio. Another thing we can adjust is the lid positioning. Now, this is an upright piano, upright grand, and if you want more detail on it, I've done an overview of all 6 of the pianos in my library, the Gentleman among them, and that gives a little more background on what they use to sample this virtual instrument. So the lids on these aren't too big, it's just that top part of it right there, which has some things sitting on it. Okay, let's bring it down. Let's close the lid. Okay, so it only has open and closed. Some of the other pianos, like the Maverick, will have 3 lid positions, all the way open, part way open, and closed. This is just closed and open. So, with what we have, we can go back to our original song, play that. I'm going to figure out the suspended chord here. Yes, there it is. All right, now there's another level of realism that we can add to this. I'm going to open the lid back up, and we're going to go into the anatomy section of the piano. Now here's where we can add all the sounds that you would hear in a piano, like the noises of the hammers, and that has a lot to do with the key release. You can hear the hammer, and you can hear the felt coming back in to mute the strings. Right? Down here we have the damper, and this one, see the damper pedal. So this is when it releases all the dampers when you press the sustain pedal. And let's see, this feature is dynamically playable with a continuous sustain pedal. I don't have one of those, but at least I don't think it is. I need to look up the definition before I make pronouncements like that. All right. Now we have the sounds of the pedal itself. So then you hear the sort of a thunking sound. Turn it off. Just hear the damper, so here's the pedal. And then we have the sound of the strings. Now, when the dampers leave the strings after pressing the damper pedal, each damper pulls a corresponding string a little bit, resulting in the vibration of each string with its resonance frequency. Basically, it sounds like almost like a spring. So here we go. Let's isolate it and turn it all the way up. In fact, let's turn them all the way up so you can hear the differences between this. So once again, we have the pedal, dampers, hammers. Oh, I have to actually move the keys. You can hear them release, and the sort of dying string sound, which is the sound, the string doesn't instantly stop vibrating. It kind of, so it does that. So now we've turned them all on. Now, in very few situations would you have them all that loud. So I'm actually going to bring them back down. -20 is where they start with. Some of these I like to be a little bit quieter than that, like the string noise, because it's very it's a very big sound in a little sort of way. Okay, now we got the pedal noises too loud. Let's bring that down. And now let's bring the damper noise. So pedal, you kind of want to hear it. Bring the damper down. Also at about. Now, don't get too hung up on the numbers if you're watching the numbers I'm doing. I'm doing this mostly by sound. The hammer releases, I'm going to leave right there. Pedal, we're going to bring you down. Okay, now this won't be that much audible. The other two settings I like to set are repedaling, half pedaling. Again, I don't know if I can take full advantage of those, but I like to have them on because I'm weird that way. So silent key is one of those features that adds to the realism through silence. So on an acoustic piano, when you press down very lightly on the keys, you'll hear no sound. So this is not an acoustic piano, but we'll try it. Notice I'm pressing I'm not, okay, this is very softly. That is because these electric pianos have either on or off, right? It's the keyboard has on or off. You press down, it's on, you pull up, it's off. It's not really looking at the velocity, but they've added this ability to take the velocity at which you're pressing down, in this case very gently, as an input, and now it will react just like an acoustic piano would, and it will make no sound when I press down very lightly. So, and then we're going to check the sympathetic resonance. Similar way, I'm going to do a higher interval here. Okay. Okay, I heard this one a little bit. It's not very strong. Let's go to our overtone samples. So after hitting a key, the corresponding strings may resonate at their fundamental overtone frequencies when other strings are triggered. These overtones add liveliness to the sound. Okay, so this is why we didn't hear it. I didn't have it turned on yet. So overtones are sympathetic resonance. You'll find that they're called different things on different instruments. So let's go back and try that again. You can hear them faintly, and that was stronger than before I had it turned on. I'm amazed that it even worked a little bit without this setting turned on. Up higher. Now these lower notes don't trigger it as much as this next octave up. I can hear the C. And then a G. Them together. So when you're playing, that translates to a lively sound. Now, we move over to the tone section. And as we open this up, we see that we have an equalizer which can affect the sound in other ways. One of the things that it can do is that you can turn the bass up and down. I go straight to bass. I love bass, right? So. Turn it all the way up. Again, using extreme examples to make the point. That hit my ears really hard. Let's see here. I think that's because we don't have the compressor on. So let's go to the compressor. I'm going to put it in at about 30. Now, low frequency does tend to hit harder than higher frequencies. It's just wider and can go around more things in the physical sense. In this sense, yeah, it really hits hard. Okay, so it's loud, but there's very little distortion. I'm going to turn that up to 50% compression. Once again, we don't need to experiment with the distortion again, so let's just keep it down like that. Okay, realistically, we're not going to have it turned up that much. I'm going to put it down to 1.8. Again, don't get hung up on the numbers too much. That's just my thing. You can experiment. Go with what it sounds like. And sometimes that sound will correspond to a number. For me, that number has been that. So let's go to the body. This is the midsection of the piano. It gives it more body, like it says. So we're going to hear. Now, that was too much. As you can see, I jumped. But you get the point. Take it away. That'll be interesting. So it does affect the low end a little bit, because so much of the low end is just not just the low frequencies, but also the low mids, which you find in these notes. Here we go. Let's bring it back to... Okay. Now, of course, I have the dynamic range all the way compressed, so that may be affecting us a little bit. Alright, and let's put this all dead center. So now if we were to crank it all the way up, still pretty loud. I'm impressed. Let's take the compressor off. Okay, so it's distorting just a little bit. Let's put it back down. All right, I'm just gonna leave it there for now. All right, body. Now it kind of sounds like it's on the radio to my ears. A little bit. Let's just only do that by a little bit more. Final section is air. Turn that all the way up. Now, all of the anatomies of the piano are going through that because I just heard the hammer releases get a lot clearer and more noticeable. So all these noises, by default, and I mean, you can't really adjust them in this instrument, all of them are routed through your equalizer. Now, some of the later instruments that were developed by Native Instruments like Noir. That's how you say it in French, I think. Close. Terrible accent. I know. Anyway. Noir and una corda, you can choose to not send all of your anatomy sounds to the equalizer, and that can be a great effect so that you just have the piano being equalized and the sounds are all kind of normal and not so noticeable. Okay, let's turn it down. And this almost does what the soft tone knob does in a way. It takes the clarity off. I don't know that it much needs more clarity. Well, let's push it. Let's push it to like 6, a conservative number. Now that would help it go through a mix. I'm going to turn on the tonal depth. This is more towards the resonant end. I tend to leave it there if we were to put it to natural. Bring it up. Sounds like it's doing harmonics in there a little bit. So I tend to leave it right there. You can sort of hear them at this point, but it's not so distracting. All right, in the transient section. Now this will make it sound, it's a little more crispy and sounds cut off. Now if we go to sustain, the sound holds on longer, and you can use that to certain effect if you want. I tend to leave it right in the middle because it's a nice balance. And finally, we have our low keys. I'm going to give them more, and you can see that just shows how. Now this adjusts so that even if you were to play it at regular volume, right here. So I'm just going to play lightly. And then I'm going to turn it all the way down, and I'm going to play the same way here. Now, I'm not physically playing softer, but because they're turned down, they just get softer below middle C, as it says in the description here. So I'm going to turn that back up. I'm going to give it a little bit of a bump. I like more in my low end. All right, at about, let's see. Okay, now I'm hearing some resonances. I'm going to go natural. All right, so that's it. This, right now, I'm using the pop compressor. We have a number of compressors that can be used. We go to like glue. that has a different sound. These compressors have different, let's see, different attack rates. So this adjusts the amount of compression. Let's see, different. Selects your desired compression type with different ratio, attack, and release settings. Now, in a standalone compressor, you can choose the attack and release settings. This is kind of like a preset. So we have our attack looks pretty slow. Let's see what was pop was kind of a linear one, wasn't it? No, it actually compresses a bit sooner. Wide range, okay, this is a bit gentler. You see the curve there. And then the attacker is, of course, going to attack. And the sustainer has a slower release. Although, what is it really pinning the meters? Okay, that's to get as loud as possible before it kicks in. Pretty old tape. Okay, now I'm going to put it back to like glue, because that's a really not a congealed sound, but it's a nicer sounding sound. All right, and the tuning, and this one goes from 436 to 444. These are slight changes which you can implement. This is A to 440. And I'm going to go extreme, A to 436. Slightly lower. And then A to 444 is brighter. So that same song played here. And then if we tune it to 440 where it was, to 436, it'll be a little lower. Now, this is not something you would necessarily notice as much unless you're playing with other people, right? And their instruments are not set to a 436 or 444 if you choose, which is brighter. The tuning or temperament of the piano can be switched between stretched and equal tuning. The default tuning is stretched, which is the way the piano was tuned for sampling. Stretched tuning accommodates the natural inharmonicity of metal strings. So we're going to put it there. I'll put it on equal and have it up here, 444. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Gentleman, I have 3 more deep dives you can watch included in this playlist on your screen. And also, if you want to see the overview video that got it all started, it will be somewhere in the list of videos on your screen right now. Thanks for watching.